after the European Central Bank on the 6th of June, with the latest interest rate decision from the US Federal Reserve coming up on Wednesday the 12th, and that will be followed in the week after by our very own Bank of England on Thursday the 20th. And one industry sector that will be watching any changes in the cost of money will be the house builders, as demand here is very sensitive to the interest rate charged for by a mortgage, and that in turn will be sensitive to bond yields, which are themselves set relative to the Bank of England base rate. Note how the quoted house builders have generally been strong performers in the past year despite the UK economy's turgid performance. This may, in some cases, be down to hopes for interest rate cuts or policy initiatives from whichever political party forms the government after July's general election. Only Barratt Developments and Crest Nicholson have actually lagged the FTSE All-Share over the past year, the former thanks to its all-stock bid for Redrow, the latter owing to ongoing operational problems, of which more in a moment. And this makes the timing of the first half results from Crest Nicholson particularly interesting, and the FTSE 250 index members' figures for the 6-month period to the end of April will be released on Thursday the 13th of June. That's just 10 days after Martin Clark's arrival as Chief Executive Officer. He replaces Peter Truscott, who'd been the boss since 2019, and during his time in charge, Mr. Truscott had reshaped Crest Nicholson's strategy and overseen an efficiency drive that was a response to both poor operational and financial performance, and also how higher interest rates and mortgage costs have hit demand. Crest Nicholson shares are down a fraction over the past year, and they trade at barely half of their pre-pandemic high. And the company's shares actually peaked in 2017, well before the pandemic, well before the end of Help to Buy, high input cost inflation, and those higher mortgage costs. That share price slide reflects the operational miscues at the builder, whose operating margins have long since come in below those of the peer group, to rather create the impression that it can't get out of its own way, despite the best efforts of Mr. Truscott and his colleagues. Indeed, Crest Nicholson will have only reinforced some investors' view that it's accident-prone with a disappointing trading update back in March. The Surrey-headquartered company revealed it had been made aware of building defects across 4 sites that were completed before 2019, and therefore before Mr. Truscott's plan to close its regeneration and London divisions was implemented. The net result of the problems is an estimated cost of around £15 million over the next 3 years, but the move to call in a consultant to check that provision is adequate suggests more may yet be needed. That provision will be the first number to which analysts turn when they assess the interim results. The second will be any steer on trends in sales per outlook per week, where reports from other quoted builders suggest there's been some signs of stabilisation or even gentle improvement, albeit from low levels. Crest Nicholson's March update pointed to a sales per outlook per week number of 0.44 for the October to March period, albeit again with a gently improving trend. The third data set to note comes in the form of completions and average selling prices. Management is targeting 1,800 to 2,000 completions for the whole year, split 1/3, 2/3 across the first and second halves, compared to 2020 last year. And the company also expects prices to be roughly stable around last year's average of £406,000. After that, well, price times volumes minus costs gives profit, and that will be the next benchmark number to note. In the first half a year ago, Crest Nicholson recorded pre-tax income of £28 million, and for the whole year to October 2024, analysts looking for £41 million, an increase from last year's £23 million, which also featured exceptional charges and provisions, this time of £18 million. Attention will then switch to the balance sheet, where Crest Nicholson is targeting an increase in net cash from last year's year-end figure of £65 million, helped by lower building levels and also reduced spending on land. Finally, attention will switch to the dividend. Crest Nicholson held its total payment unchanged last year at 17 pence a share, and that included an interim payment of 5.5p. However, a big cut is likely this year, given management's policy of maintaining earnings cover of at least 2.5 times for the dividend. Analysts are therefore looking for a full-year dividend this time around of just 4.5 pence a share. I hope that you and your families are all keeping well. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.